Hello, hello, welcome back to the mat, and welcome to your Surya Namaskar B tutorial. Surya Namaskar means sun salutation. If you have no idea what any of that means, I will link to a blog in the description below where you can read more about sun salutations and why we practice them and the meaning behind them. There are a few variations on sun salutations on Surya Namaskar. There's sun salutation A, B, and C. If you have not already, I invite you to check out the Surya Namaskar A tutorial. That link will be in the description below as well. And also check out the Vinyasa tutorial. The Vinyasa is a part of sun salutations, and it is a part of Surya Namaskar B, which we are covering today. You won't need any props for this practice other than your yoga mat. So go ahead, roll that out. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more free stuff like this. All right, that's about it. Let's get started. Okay, so for this tutorial, I'm going to invite you to kind of just watch me do a round of Surya Namaskar B, so you know what it looks like and you kind of know where we're going. I think it'll help as we start to move into this. So you can kind of sit back, relax, and just watch how it goes. So this is what Surya Namaskar B looks like. So as with all sun salutations, we start in Tadasana mountain pose at the top of the mat. So join me there. Big toes are touching. There's a slight gap in between the heels. I will link to all of the individual posture tutorials if you are unclear about any one pose. For the purposes of this tutorial, we are simply putting these together into this sun salutation. So starting Tadasana mountain pose, top of the mat, standing up nice and tall. This is our first pose. Our second pose is Utkatasana chair pose. So the knees bend deeply, and there's a couple ways you can do this in terms of the breath. So you can either exhale to bend the knees deeply and then inhale to lift the arms, or you can do all of that on an inhale. So you inhale as you bend the knees and lift the arms. It's kind of up to you in your own practice how you want to do it. Different teachers will cue it differently. So just know that you might hear that cued a little bit differently. But the second pose we're going to come into is Utkatasana chair pose. Lifted gaze, open chest, arms up high. On your exhale, you'll fold forward, Uttanasana, forward fold, crown of the head drops towards the earth. On your inhale, you'll have a couple choices. So you can either lift halfway into Ardha Uttanasana, half lift, or you can stay mainly in a forward fold and just lift the gaze for Utthita. Utthita Uttanasana, so it's an extended forward fold, simply lifting the gaze. And the reason we do this is because we want the gaze lifted as we step the feet back into our plank pose and chaturanga. So this is your inhale, either lifting halfway or simply lifting the gaze. Next pose is to plant the palms, and you can either step back or jump back into, if you're stepping back, you'll step back into plank pose. If you're jumping back, you jump back straight into chaturanga. So either coming here plank and then shifting forward, lowering halfway chaturanga. Your inhale is an opening of the chest, opening upward facing dog. And your exhale is lifting the hips up and back into downward facing dog. Now your inhale is going to bring the right foot forward, left heel down. So you're coming into warrior one, and this is all happening on one inhale. So from downward facing dog, it's the same inhale that brings the right foot forward, left heel down, and lift the chest. So it's all one inhale. Exhale brings the hands back to the earth, stepping the right foot back, and lower chaturanga. Inhale, opening the chest. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then left side, so inhale to step the foot forward, right heel down, and lift the torso. Exhale, hands come down, step it back, lower. Inhale, open chest. Exhale, downward facing dog. And you'll take 3 to 5 breaths here in your downward facing dog before making your way to the top of the mat. And again, you can hop to the top of the mat, you can tiptoe, you can step up, however you'd like to get there. On an inhale, you'll again either lift halfway or simply lift the gaze, and you'll exhale to fold. Uttanasana, crown of the head drops down. Your next inhale will be Utkatasana chair pose, so you'll bend the knees deeply, lifting the torso, and then exhale, coming up to stand. That is one round of Surya Namaskar B. So Surya Namaskar B has a warrior one on both the right side and the left side, all in one round. So Surya Namaskar B is great for building heat quickly. You might be finding that already after just the one round. Doing a few rounds of these will really help you to build heat in a quick way. So a quick note about the breath. So I already touched on the Utkatasana chair pose. So you can break that down into 2 breaths. Exhale to bend, inhale to lift the arms, or that can all be one inhale. The other place where the breath might differ by practice or by teacher is as you make your way back into chaturanga. So you're here in your forward fold. The inhale is going to be to lift the gaze or to lift halfway. And again, that's going to be a preference by teacher or however you're feeling in your practice. But do make sure you've got a lifted gaze and that the gaze stays lifted as you bring the feet back for the next couple of poses. So if you are jumping back, you want to jump back straight into chaturanga. So that's going to be all one exhale. So the inhale here to lift, your exhale, you're going to plant the palms, hop it back, chaturanga. If you are not hopping back, the inhale will be here, finding lift. Exhale, and here's where the breath might be different depending on whose class you're in. So you could either take an exhale, so one single exhale to step back plank pose and lower chaturanga, and then move on. Or, and sometimes I like to cue it this way because I like to give plank its due, but you'll inhale here, lift, exhale, plank pose, stay in plank for an inhale, and then exhale, chaturanga. Inhale will be opening up the chest, upward facing dog. Exhale will be downward facing dog. So the breath might differ by teacher there, and just depending on how you're feeling in your practice on any given day. So you might want to give plank pose that extra breath, or you might want to do it all as one exhale. Try it both ways and see what feels better for you in your body. The warrior one, as I was mentioning as we went through it, the step forward and lifting of the torso all happens on one inhale. This might be really tricky for you, especially if you're just starting to practice Surya Namaskar B. So feel free to take an inhale as you step forward. Take an exhale here as you lower the left heel, set up the feet, and then inhale, lift the torso, warrior one. The exhale will be bringing you down, and again, you can decide if you want to take an inhale here, plank pose, and then lower halfway chaturanga, or if you want this all to happen on one exhale. So you're here, warrior one, inhale, exhale, exhale, still exhaling, inhale. So there's a lot of different ways you can kind of play with the breath here. In traditional Surya Namaskar B, it's one breath, one movement. That's a little bit misleading because a lot of these are one breath, multiple movements. As you can see there in coming in and out of that warrior one, you're doing a few things on one breath. If that does feel like a challenge for you, feel free to break that down. Take an extra inhale or exhale wherever you need it. Just depending on how you're feeling. So let's run through that once, taking the extra breaths, and then we'll run through it once doing the traditional breaths, and you can kind of see how both of those feel for you. So top of the mat, Tadasana mountain pose. Standing up nice and tall. Take an inhale here. Exhale, bend the knees deeply. Inhale, lift the arms, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, lift the gaze. Exhale, plant the palms, step back, plank pose. Take an inhale here in plank. Exhale, lower halfway, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, bring right foot in between the hands. Exhale, left heel down, set up the feet. Inhale, lift the torso, warrior one. Exhale, hands to the earth. Step the right foot back. Take an inhale here in plank. Exhale, lower halfway, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot between the hands. Take an exhale to lower the right heel, set up the legs. Inhale, lift the torso, warrior one. Exhale, hands to the earth. Step back, plank pose. Take an inhale here. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Taking 3 to 5 breaths here in downward facing dog. On an inhale, look between the hands. Exhale to step or hop, walk your way forward. Inhale, lifting the gaze. Exhaling to fold. Bend the knees deeply. Inhale, lift the torso, Utkatasana. And exhale, Tadasana. So that's our Surya B with some extra breaths in between. Feel free to always practice it that way if that works better for your breath. I always say you should really be working to match movement to breath as opposed to breath to movement, because the breath is more important than the movement. So if you find that you are sacrificing breath to move at a certain pace or to get into a certain pose, pull back a little bit, prioritize the breath. All right, cool. Let's run through that once in the traditional kind of breath scheme, and you can play with it and see how that feels for you. So standing tall, Tadasana mountain pose. Inhale, bend the knees, lift the arms, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift the gaze. Exhale, step or jump back, lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot between the hands, lift the torso, warrior one. Exhale, hands to the earth, step right foot back, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot between the hands, set it up, warrior one. Exhale, hands down, left foot back, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 to 5 breaths here. Inhale, look between the hands. Exhale, step or hop. Make your way to the top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen spine. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees deeply, lift the torso. Inhale, Utkatasana. And exhale, stand tall, Tadasana. So there you have it, Surya Namaskar B. Play around with that, with the different breath counts, and decide what works for you. The traditional breath count might not work for you, at least not at first. It's something that maybe you work up towards, and maybe you don't work up towards that. Maybe you take your breath however you'd like to take it, and that's cool too. If you have any questions about Surya Namaskar B, please feel free to post them down in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me on the mat today. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste.